Today is August 5th, 2026. I want to print the negative again. It's NC500. It's about 30 feet and it's on the printer. I already printed it once and then too late, so I printed a 3-foot piece. It was almost perfect, a little bit too late. I want to do the whole thing again, or maybe just a 3-foot piece. But I don't have any more print film, which is over there. I have to spool it off. Now I need 17 winds of this, 1, 2, off of that, which is huge, but it fits on this board. So that's the job right now. Success. In the dark, took the lid off and put it on top of the rag, just forward, you know. Found the center. Well, I had to lift the bottom half to tip the split reel out. Found the center of it with my finger and then put it on that spindle and locked it. Then I found an empty reel over there, which had a piece of tape on it to indicate where the slot was. So I put the end of the film in the slot and rolled it one time so that it was overlapped. Put it on there and then held back this reel and cranked that 20 times, not 17, because I wanted extra leader so it wouldn't run out. 17 is all the length of the negative is, but I didn't have enough the first time that I did it. I don't know why. So I did 20. And then I put everything away. But I could not find the tape. That's because I never put the tape down here on the board. It's up on this board. This is what I printed it at, and the loop was nice, but I think it should be darker. And what I do is I tape this so I don't bump it in the dark and change the setting. So I have to make it brighter. Yeah. I'm going to make it 7.5, and then I'm going to change the filter to a 50C instead of a 30C. And I will need that extra illumination. So I'll tape this. Then I have to change that. So here it is disassembled. Notice that the housing has a hole for the light, for the edge soundtrack. That's for the soundtrack. And this is for the film. This gate is for 16mm, and it has a hole in it here at the top for the soundtrack, and that's how big the 16mm gate is. Not super 16, just 16. Otherwise it would go all the way out the top. And it's bent. It's flat. It has a little groove cut in it where the film rides inside. And it catches your thumbnail. That's what keeps it centered. And the gate area is higher, has and these two parts are lower, so you could bend a piece of flat stock, but you have to grind out, and then where the screw goes, that's bent in. So a regular 8 gate has a hole that's only 1/4 that size. And I'm not getting it out right now. I'm doing filters. So this is the 30C filter, and this is the pack of filters. I have to get a 50 out. Okay, the 50C has been installed. See, it's not down there. The 30 is. And they change in units of 10, 5, 10. Yeah, in tens, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. This is the print film to open in the dark, to put onto that shaft. I can easily find the notch on the shaft and rotate it with this, but I have to use my finger to find the notch in the center of the spool. This one aligns with the slot, which is nice. So the tape is for the slot, so I can put the film into there. And this one goes clockwise. This one goes counterclockwise, so it's on the bottom. That's the negative. And the negative is right there at the beginning where the leader is. I will engage the sprocket holes just past the gate, so it will begin with Melita in the backyard. So this is the tail end of the film. The sprocket holes are up and the emulsion is up. Sprocket holes are away and the emulsion is up. This side doesn't matter how it spools off, because they're freewheeling. But this side does matter. This spring has to be horizontal like that. This one doesn't have to be crossed, but it is, because I like it that way. So now I'll put everything away and turn the lights out, and I'll load the printer and run it. And then I'll have to turn the lights on, put the film in the box, turn the lights on, and set up the tank. I might have to cut the film if it's too long to fit. Alright, this is all ready to be loaded. The film will go in here. And the take-up reel's ready. And there's a box to put the print film into. Close the box and take it to my left. And load this. The film reel goes on here. And I don't have to hold it. I hold the end of the film where it goes into the spools. That's where I keep constant pressure on. There's a divot right here. This one turns clockwise. Turns clockwise. I keep a constant tension on the film here against the edge of the spool. This is only tightened until it touches. It's not tightened. So, you know, it might be 1/8 of an inch tight. That's about all. There are all the chemicals. ECP has to be 98 degrees. So in the dark I put the spool with the lid into the tank, and I put the top on, and I turn it a little bit. Then I could turn the lights on and warm up this. That's the only one that has to be warm. The fixture will have to go into a beaker. This beaker to measure it, because I don't have it in a 1 liter bottle. Now when the negative ran out, then I cut the print film up on this side. So there's a little bit of leader at the end of the negative. Beyond the negative, there's a little bit of print film that I let be on this reel on this end. There's a lot more on the other end where I loaded it, because I went around once and went all the way from here up to there around once. So the other end, the outside, the inside of it, yeah, it'll be on the outside of the spirals, so I could cut some of that off. This end is shorter, and it will definitely get developed. There's not a whole lot of leader for the beginning of the film on the spirals, so that'll all get developed. But if it's too long, I have to cut it off, because if it wraps around the outside, it sticks on the walls of the developing tank, and you can't turn the thing. It can't be too long. So the film is ready to be loaded onto the spirals. Now the excess, there was more film left on the feed spool, and I took it out of the inside of the machine and hanging here in the air, and I rolled it up and I put it in this box. That's got to be labeled. This is the negative, and I think there's leader on the negative. I don't know where the pictures end. I should look at that to see how much I could cut off if it is too long. But there's more than 3 feet here, so I could make at least 2 tests, maybe 3 or 4 tests, to make short loops using the 110 cans. So that's for 110 cans, or maybe one longer print in the negative area. The film was rewound to be ready to print again by using the motor and holding the other end of the film here. Now I looked at the end of the film. There's about 1.5 feet, maybe 18 inches. That's 18 inches, maybe 20 inches of clear leader, and then there's exposures of the book. And I remember there's 3 or 4 different exposures of the book. So if the film doesn't fit into the tank, I could take it off the spirals and cut this end of the film, the outer end of the film that gets loaded first. I could cut that shorter, because you only need 1 frame of all those exposures of the text. So none of this end of the film that is going onto the spirals first, which came out of the printer last, which is the beginning of the film, none of that will be cut. I'm going to try to load everything in here to see if it fits into the tank without touching the sides. If it all stays on the spirals and it is not hanging out loose. And if it is hanging out loose, I'll cut that end if it isn't too long, because that's Melita out in the grass walking around. Extreme long shot. I don't think there's any or hardly any leader on that end. All done. All of the film fit onto the spirals, and there was even an extra wrap or two that wasn't needed. So there's extra spirals and the film fit inside, but almost out to the edge. It's just short. So when you wind the Bolex and you run an entire wind, you stop before 30 seconds. Stop at about 25 or 27 seconds, 26 seconds. And you do that twice, you will be able to fit 2 full winds onto one of these developing tanks. The temperature in the bottle is 78 degrees. I have to raise the temperature 20 degrees. The teapot is full of water and turned on all the way. When it boils, I'll put some in here. And when this hits 98 degrees, I'll take it out. I'll put it here. And the temperature in the tub will have been filled to 98 degrees. And then the bottle will equalize. It'll cool off a little bit because that glass holds a lot of heat. The fan is on because of all this hot water, and the temperature is going up. More hot water is being heated in case I have to adjust anything. This developer has been used once, and then there was a test made with some of it, 300 milliliters, a third of it. So it's been used 1 1/3 times. So instead of 3 minutes, it's going to have to be 4 minutes developing. I think I used 3.5 minutes on the test, and it was too light. I turned the camera upside down. Here's the first shot of Melita in the dining room. She has a pale blue shirt on. Now, I used 7.5 volts, almost 8, and 50 cyan filter. Where is it? This is the second shot of her in the backyard in the green grass. But I don't see any edge numbers. I don't know what time I started, but it was at least an hour ago.